when you're mirroring something in CAD and then milling it, it's perfect. So if there's a problem, it's the interference we have with the metal behind it. So it's fun, it's challenging, and I think it keeps Jim and I young. Honestly, I don't know about that.
Hey, Mike?
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about, you were talking about doing carbon fiber layup for some of your quarter panels?
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's dramatically different process than.
Yeah, that's, so you mill, so you're milling a plug of some sort. You either mill the plug or you mill a mold. If we're going to do multiple parts, we'll mill a plug, meaning it's the exact part. So then we'll make a carbon mold off of that plug, which a carbon mold can take many uses, upwards to 100 pieces versus one. But like on this Camaro, it's a one-off car, so we're just milling the actual mold. So we're taking 40-pound density foam or Ren and milling a part, and then that's got to be finished off because like on 15-pound foam, I might have said 40. 40 is a better, but it's too costly, To do a fender, probably in 40-pound foam, you're probably upwards to $5,000 just for the foam. So it's big money just for the foam to do one fender. So when we could probably share what just the roof panel on this Camaro, the cost of it was what, Mike? Well, just the roof, and I had quotes all over because we don't have a 5-axis machine. Just to machine it, so the 15-pound foam, which is much cheaper, I've had prices that ranged from $65,000. One actually was $80,000 just to make a mold, and I got it done for $25,000. So that was the difference in the pricing, but that's just the mold. Then it's the carbon part is another $10,000 on top of that to make the part. So I could have had $100,000 almost in just the roof of this car. Compound that by at least 35 parts on this car. It's huge.
Yeah, that's not the Chinese knockoff fenders you get for a lot of the aftermarket stuff.
No, all this is epoxy resin. So yeah, you're laying it up, and either we're only exposing the roof on this car and the taillight panel and the hood and the front chin spoiler. So with that carbon goes in the mold dry, meaning you spray glue basically to hold the carbon in place in a mold, because you want it to line up and you don't want it wavy or anything, so it's got to be super straight. So you put it in dry and you spray glue it in place, because we're putting a triangle, meaning we're splitting the weave on this, so it's got, instead of just running the weave of the carbon all the way across the hood, we're actually angling it, so right down the center, we're laying the carbon up so it goes both directions. It's peaked in the middle, basically, which is a lot more complicated. They do make a weave that is done, but the one we got was just poor quality and we didn't want to use it. So we used where we had to cut it and spray glue it in, and then once it's in the mold, you infuse it while you're put it in a vacuum bag. You infuse the resin, it gets sucked in to the mold. So it's a much tighter process, but like the quarters where they're primed that we're going to paint, that's called wet layup, where the carbon has the resin already in it, and then you lay it in the mold with your hands and then you vacuum it. But it's not quite as tight, but you don't really care what the weave looks like. So it's because you're going to be painting over it. It's a cheaper way to do it, but it's still carbon. It's still just as good a part. It's just that you don't care what the weave looks like, right? Where the wet layup, you want to expose the carbon weave so there's no primer in the mold in the dry layup. I'm sorry, yeah. You want to see the carbon, so you have to have it in there perfect. At least the first layer, right, that you're going to see.
And after that, it doesn't matter.
Well, so you bring up a good question. So I've watched the Ring Brothers University videos, which are awesome, by the way, on painting. But trying to be better myself. How do you prep and paint fiber? Because I would assume it's more rigid than steel, right? To work with?
Carbon fiber, yeah, carbon fiber is super porous. It's kind of a pain. You know, when you see nice carbon done, it looks amazing, but there's a lot of work to it. So basically, when it comes out of the mold, you got to get rid of all the release agent. So you wipe it down with acetone. You get it super clean to start. Then you 320 it down, but that's the key, is sanding the carbon without distorting the weave. Because if you would go through that slight weave, you ruined it, right?
That part's junk.
That part is junk.
Yeah.
If you distort the weave at all, your eye will go right to it. So you can sand on it more than you think, but you sure don't want to start with anything heavier than 320. But you want to get that resin a good bite. And the key is we use, it's more of like a polyester resin with, it's not auto body clear right away, because that clear, it's so porous that even clear, I used to do it with automotive clear, but you literally have to brush it on to fill the pinholes. Where I found with this Duratec product that I use that has UV protection, I'll start with that, and with the acetone in it or MEK in it, either one, it will fill the pinholes much better. And once you put that on, the key is when you sand it, you have to make sure it's super clean with acetone. You keep wiping it off with a white rag so you get no gray, like residue, which would be like, it would almost look like, the carbon looks like it's graphite. And if you would smear that in your carbon, if you clear over it, obviously it would look terrible. So you'd ruin the part too. If you cleared it with streaks in your carbon from the resin, the dust, it would ruin the part too. So
We've done that.
I've done it. You only learn things when you screw it up, right? You never learn if it all goes well.
Yeah, it's the best teacher.
Then you block that clear like you would primer, that Duratec, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you put automotive clear on it, and then you sand it again, and then you polish it, and then you finally have a part that looks amazing.
That's awesome. I hear lots and lots and lots of hours.
Yeah, it's just time, and that's why these cars get so expensive, and people don't really understand when you tell them upwards of $500,000 plus to build one of these cars.
Well, and I think anyone that hasn't seen one of your cars, I think the other thing too is these cars are works of art, but they also are performance vehicles, right? Because you guys are putting an LS in this one, I assume?
Yeah, this one does have a Wagner in it, which, sad to say, yesterday, Carl Wagner, who's in our state, is definitely the most well-known and most well-respected, took Matt Kenseth to NASCAR, to Dick Trickle, to all the greats. He died yesterday at a young age, so it's pretty sad. Seems like all we've been doing is going to funerals lately, but the racing world he is definitely a legend that will be missed.
Yeah, everybody knows Winger engines. I mean, you don't get very far without hearing that name come up.
No, Carl Wagner he was the man. It's sad day.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to that motor, it's a Wagner LS. He originally only wanted it about 800 horse, and then decided that his dad at something with more horsepower.
A Veyron, a Bugatti Veyron.
And so then he wants us to bump it up, but the internals that are in that motor can't take it. Although we have another LS that's going in a really crazy Blazer we're doing that we had to detune to get it down to 1100 horse.
Yeah, the Camaro will have around 9. I think it made 885, but that's just on a stump, man. That thing's not even being pushed. It's just going to be a streetable, basically 900 horse motor that's
100% carbon fiber car, which
it should run plenty hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're taking a already, 3,000 pound Camaro, 3,400 pound Camaro, replacing with carbon fiber, and then tripling the horsepower that GM ever had?
Yeah, exactly. It's got a full cage. I'm not sure what this car will even weigh. We have no idea. I would still think it's over 3,000, but because of all the amenities and the sound deadeners we put in it, we're not trying to make it a race car. We're trying to make it a really nice street car that's fast.
Yeah.
And safe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we have that. And we're doing some other cool projects. Seems like it's the year of the 69, so the 50-year anniversary we're doing a 69 Mustang that we widened the quarters and front fenders kind of in that widening stage. And then we're building a 69 Charger for a really famous race car driver in New Zealand. It's kind of funny. You'd think there's a shot between New Zealand and Wisconsin he could have took it to, but it's here right now, and he's actually coming tomorrow. His name is Greg Murphy. He's a V8 supercar driver. He's pretty cool if you go on and kind of look at some of his videos. So we'll meet him for the first time, although his car has been here for a little while.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
What's that?
I said, yeah, I'll have to look him up. I've seen some stuff on what they do over there, and that's a whole different way they race.
Yeah, I had no idea. But yeah, those guys can turn both directions pretty hard. But this one, he sent a Winston Cup motor for it, basically. Yeah, I think it was the Effernham motor, but we kind of talked him out of it, and now we're just running a stock Hellcat in it that we bought, a crate Hellcat. They make like 700 horse.
Yeah.
And Mike, that Charger that was here when you were here, that car is in London, but he shipped it back to us because he wants that new Hellephant motor put in it. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, really. Yeah, I follow that.
So,
I follow him on Instagram, and every time I see that car with pictures over in the UK, I'm just like, man, that is one lucky Charger.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So he shipped it back. It got a little damaged coming back, but they're going to release that Hellephant. And for people that don't know what that is, it's last year at SEMA, Chrysler showed a 1,000 horse crate motor that they're building for the general public, 426 cubic inches, and they're releasing it on 426. So next week, I believe they're releasing that motor. That's what we ordered, and it's slated for this car, and I don't even know how much it costs.
And the funny part of it is, putting that motor in that car with the blower on it and stuff, we'll have to go right back to, we already had the original hood scanned, and we're going to build a new carbon hood for it just because it won't fit under the existing hood.
That's what I was going to ask. Is the Hellephant fit the same footprint?
No. Honestly, we don't even know what it's going to be. I know our transmission's not going to hold it, and now it's got its own computer from Chrysler, where before we were running